Hi, I'm Rick Richardson. Welcome back to the Salary Step Up series. This is step 4 in the series, and in this step we're going to be evaluating using questions. And so what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the evaluations and how we want to get ourselves into an evaluation frame of mind. And we're going to do that by using certain questions to focus our thoughts and to direct us to the evaluation process. All right, so the first questions we want to ask are, what is your current salary? Easy one to answer. And what's your current value? A little bit harder. So the current value, what you're worth to the company. Now that, it sounds a little bit clinical. We're talking about you and you're a human being. And so we don't always like to put dollar amounts on people. We should never do it in reality, you know, like old slavery stuff. But what we are going to do is we're going to see where your value is to the company and how you can evaluate that, how you can demonstrate where your value is greater and why you deserve these pay raises, and using facts to present to your boss. And those facts are going to speak louder than just you asking for something and coming to them on an appeal process that's more emotional. So while we're evaluating, we want to be very fact-based. We're going to be very honest, brutally honest. We want to strip away any varnish that we've put on it to protect ourselves from any self-esteem jabs. So you're doing this on your own, and you're evaluating yourself, and you're evaluating the information you've gathered about the industry and about what your value is to the company and what that value would be to another company. So you need to be honest about this, because the more honest you are and the better your facts have been refined, the better your presentation, the stronger your appeal for this pay raise, this request that is not going to be a hat in hand and please give me this, but I deserve it, here's the facts. Now, you don't really have any argument, do you? So in our evaluation, we want to compare what you're making now to what the averages are in the industry. While you're doing that, you're going to need to have really good facts, and if you haven't already gathered them, you will want to do some more searching. And as you're seeing where you might have a weakness in the data you've already gathered and you are evaluating it, you will understand that you need to go back and gather more information, or at least prove to yourself that that information doesn't exist. It's getting hard to find places where you can't find similar information, if not exactly the information that you need to compare your exact job. Where you can find this, do searches on different search engines. Doing a basic Google search type of thing is where I would start. There are employment sites and other sites like that. On the Salary Step Up website, there will be some links to different websites that we find advantageous and that other people have suggested. If you find one that you think is really good that I don't have on the site, I want you to send me a link and let me check it out. It might be that that there's something that we're missing there and we can offer it to other people. The problem with some of this is that it gets very specific to the job and the industry, and so I don't have all of the different industries and all of these. I'm more general in this approach. One of the aspects that you can develop for yourself, and you should already be looking at these, are trade magazines that are specific to your industry or your career. And you can look at your company's annual reports, if it's a publicly traded company or one that they publish the reports and allow people to see them. Another one would be to look at your competitors. Again, if it's a publicly traded company, these reports are issued and the public can get a hold of them, because if you can buy their stock, you have to be able to see what their annual reports say, so you can value the stocks. But inside of that is information about their how they're hiring, if they've hired more people, where they project growth, those types of things. And it's the projections into the future that are going to come into play as to, here's where I'm at now, here's what I've done for the company, and here's where the industry is going. Here's where I see the company fitting into it. Now, in doing your evaluations, you may find some things that either excite you about the company you're with or that disturb you a little bit about the company you're with. Those are different from what we're really looking for, but they are things that you should consider and keep your eyes open. Also, don't get too hung up on just the hearsay. You want to have facts. So if you have heard a rumor that someone doing a similar job to you somewhere else is making X dollars, that's fine to start out and go to look at that and find out if it's true. But if it's not something that you can present the facts, then I would keep from putting too much emphasis on that, because it's something that your boss might say, oh no, I checked into it and that's totally false and that's not true, so your whole request is shot down. All right, so make sure that you have good factual information and that you've tested it. Another part of this, it gets a little bit touchy with some people. If you're being brutally honest with yourself, you need to be able to look at these things. What is your value to the company? And here's an easy way to answer it. Your value to the company is weighed against what it costs to replace you. Now, that's not just the dollar amount if they have to go do a job search and hire a headhunter or something to find somebody. It's not just that. It's the loss of production. It's what you've brought to the table, your own nuances, your interactions with your coworkers, how valued you are as a team member, all of that. That information is something that you need to be kind of tracking in a sense of where is my value and how can I make it hard for my boss to consider replacing me. And the longer you have before you actually do your presentation, the more you can implement this. The plan, though, is that you would always be doing this. You're always adding value to your set of skills, your talents, what you bring to the table. If it's something where you're generating revenue for the company, if you're in sales or whatever, putting up good numbers. I'm not sitting here telling you, though, that you need to just work yourself to death. What I want you to do is understand that other aspects of that, how you interact with your people, your coworkers, how much your customers might be writing letters back telling your boss how valuable you are to their operation, solving problems for people that you act as a vendor to, all of those types of things. You want to be constantly improving that, and that makes it harder for your boss to imagine you not with the company, and therefore when you go in and ask for a pay raise, that is a fear that will crop up in their thinking, and they are not going to want to lose you. Therefore, they're going to see your pay request, and if at all reasonable, if at all possible, they're going to agree to that request, and you will come out with what you wanted. The more you are appreciated and valued, the harder it is to get rid of you. Therefore, your value to the company is increased. Okay, so now that you're evaluating the information, ask yourself, has your position changed at all? Is it becoming really clear that you are underpaid, or is it something that you realize, wow, I've been paid a lot, and maybe my problem is that I just don't manage my money? I doubt it's that. It's probably that you realize that you deserve this pay raise and promotion or whatever else you're going for. Additional benefits, additional time off, all of those different things that you might be asking for. You are evaluating it against the information you're finding, and so therefore it isn't unreasonable to think that your position could change. It could be that you were thinking, hey, I wanted a $5 an hour raise and I realize I should have a $10 an hour raise, or whatever it is. You need to be able to evaluate this and see it for what it is. If it's the other direction, be honest with yourself. That doesn't mean you can't go in and ask for a pay raise. It does mean that you need to have your facts straight, and you need to be able to demonstrate that your value has more to do with what you do for the company, your individual set of skills, how valuable you are to the company, separate from what the industry is paying. When you're looking at your value to the company, your value to the company has the historic value, what you've proven, and what you're going to do in the future. So if you're looking for a promotion, or if you're asking for additional resources to be assigned to you that will help you improve your production, you need to be able to give some sort of a projection. You need the facts to show in the past, you need the projection to show in the future. Those reports that you've gathered from competitors or information you've gathered from other sources is going to help you to show your boss, hey, look, this is where the industry's heading. These are the types of things we need. This is why I want you to pay for me to go to school and get this set of skills, because these are the changes coming down the road. So as you're asking your boss for these things, you're going to have that data and those facts. In presenting this to your boss, in putting your presentation together, you need to be able to clearly identify these and present them to them if it's part of your presentation, if it's part of getting them to agree with you. So again, testing them and making sure your facts are solid. Anywhere that you find weaknesses, find more information, bolster it, review it. If you find one source that is saying one thing and it's exactly what you want them to say, but you found 5 sources that say something else, you need to be honest about that. Is the one source the most respected and the other 4 or 5 are just fly-by-night bloggers or something that are just talking about it? Or is it the reverse? You've got one blogger who's saying, yeah, the people that do this type of job should be paid 5 times more money. Well, you need to make sure that your sources are vetted, that you've used the good information that is going to stand up to basically a cross-examination by your boss. Now I want you to give a little bit of thought to how you can improve your value going forward. And one way that is probably the easiest to look for possibilities is not just how do I increase what I do now, although that's very important, and where you can increase revenue if that's part of your job, or that you can increase efficiencies, that you can streamline processes, that you can do any of those things that benefit the company, whether it's making more money or saving money. Those are valuable. Another thing to look at is to look beyond what your current job is and see if you can find something that you can propose a solution to a problem. Let's say you see that at the company you're at, you're throwing away and paying for some materials to be hauled away as trash. Let's say it's a whole bunch of paper product, the cardboard ends, or whatever it is, something like that, where you could then say, wait a second, we could be selling this to a recycling company. They would, instead of us paying it to be hauled away, they'll come and pay us to take it away. Now, those types of solutions may not be readily apparent all the time, so keep your eyes open, find them, and then before you go to your boss and propose any of these, and some of these would be proposed outside of your pay increase request. These are proposals that are building your value to the company so that when you get to your pay request, you have the value is established. So when you're looking at these, make sure that it's a real problem and a real solution, and that it does not add to your boss's workload. The last thing you want to do is go in and say, hey boss, look at this. I found something that can make you work even more hours. You don't want that. You also don't want something where it comes back on you and they say, yeah, that sounds great. You're now in charge of it. And if you didn't do your homework right, you find out that you have overpromised and you underdeliver, and you've done the exact opposite of what you wanted. You have now devalued yourself as opposed to improving your value. So fully vet any of your ideas for what you want to do, but do not hesitate to find them, research them, and when they look like they are really valuable, take them to your boss. Ultimately, it's their decision, or if it's something that does fall under your decisions, decide if it's valuable enough and do it, and then make sure you've documented how much value you've added, whether it's savings or revenue increases or whatever it happens to be. So what we're looking for is honest, solid information that is as good as it can be, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be absolutely without error in it. It just needs to be good enough to get your pay raise. You don't want to be embarrassed when you present this, but at the same time, you want to get to the point where you're presenting it. So you're going to give yourself a time frame here. It's going to be a day or 2 or 5. It's not going to be a month. It's not going to be after I read this stack of information that I found, or after I've gone to the library and researched it for 2 or 3 weekends, or whatever it is. No, it's going to be a set amount of time, and you're going to have gathered the information, you're going to crunch it, you're moving on. Do not get wrapped up in this infinite loop of analysis. All right, so I want you to spend a little bit of time, be clear with how much time you're spending. You can always come back and look at it a little bit more, or if you find other sources later on, you can always address it. But moving forward, the forward momentum is critical in this process. So give yourself a little bit of time, then move on to step 5. All right, thank you for listening. I am Rick Richardson. This is the Salary Step Up series.